Hello, thanks for joining this CLE. My name is Ayub Ajmi. I'm the Director of Legal Innovation and Technology at UMKC School of Law. I teach legal technology. I teach classes on introduction to the basics of legal technology, as well as advanced courses on document automation, AI, and other areas of the intersection of law and technology. I'm very excited to have you here with me today. So today we will be talking about generative AI and the law. We will talk about the foundation, opportunities and challenges and the responsible use of AI. At the same time, I will share with you some of the work I have done in this field. Hopefully, get you inspired to come join us and collaborate with us here at the law school. So the agenda for today. We will talk about artificial intelligence. We won't go into a lot of details. It will be a little bit easy on you, so that way we can all learn and all levels of attendees can benefit from this presentation. So we will talk about what is generative AI more specifically. AI is a very broad term, so we want to focus more on generative AI, large language models, ChatGPT, and the like. At the same time, we will talk about some practical uses of generative AI and how you can introduce AI to your practice of the law in a way that is safe and secure and helpful to your clients. At the end, I will share with you a project that I have been working on for the last 2 years with the state of Nevada. I was hired by the Supreme Court over there to build their interactive chatbot as well as other interactive self-help tools. So we will go through that and show you some examples of how generative AI could be applied in the law. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you a favor. So on this screen right now, you can see a QR code and a short link. This is a link to an anonymous survey where I would like to ask you to participate and give me your answer about this question. So by now, pretty much all of us have been using generative AI. We use it in different ways. So this survey is just general questions about what tools have you been using. Feel free to answer also in the chat so we can create some interactivity here during this session. I'm really interested if you have not used AI, why, and if you can give us a brief explanation. If you have used if you have some specific use case, feel free to share that. So once you answer the survey, it will redirect you to a screen where you can see the results. And those results, basically, for a couple of months now, for every presentation I do, I will ask attendees to the same question, and I'm trying to collect their answers so we can all learn from our experiences. So like I said earlier, AI is very broad term, and it could be very confusing. So we are not going to go into a lot of details. We will focus more on generative AI. But you are probably using AI in some way. AI has been used in many of our daily activities and tasks without even thinking about it. For example, in your email, you may have a spam folder, you may have an inbox folder, and then you may have a specific folder for newsletters and generic email. Well, AI is used to filter those emails and to decide where each email, which folder it will go to. At the same time, AI is being used in employment. If you go to Indeed or some other hiring platform, AI is used to filter applicants based on parameters and settings that the employer will determine. Tools can filter applications, can filter resume, and can use AI to do many things. We have been using AI in login, for example, to your email, where you have to click on the CAPTCHA and say that you are not human. That's AI-powered system. AI has been used in credit scoring. So machine learning and AI tools have been used for years now, where based on income, based on zip code, based on many parameters, it could determine if you qualify for certain things or not, or what credit score you will get. So those are all AI powered tools that are right now being used. So this is not new. What is new is the generative aspect of AI. For the last few years, I will say maybe the last 10 years or more, or a little bit less, generative AI becoming more popular and becoming more effective. And of course, in the last 2 years, with the public release of ChatGPT, that's where we all got interested, because finally we have a use case that anybody can use without having to do some coding, without having to have some technical background. You can jump into a tool and start interacting with the system. The system will generate ideas, generate text, generate pictures, generate videos, and there's all those use cases that we have now access to that just a couple of years ago it would have been very hard to do, and it would not have been possible to do. It's also, if you have noticed, if you are following this topic, you kind of every couple of months you can see like an improvement. Like I remember just a year ago when you generate a picture, the pictures were kind of not that good. Now, I mean, the pictures are so realistic that it's hard for us to tell if this is real or not real. So what I want to say is that this is new field, but it is improving in a huge speed. This is potentially will have a huge impact on how we interact with our systems, how we provide services, how we help our customers. So right now, let's talk about what is generative AI. This is the simplest explanation I can give you. So we have king and minus man. If you think about it a little bit, you probably can guess the answer. So what I did right here, I went to ChatGPT version 4, which is the paid version, and I asked this question: king minus man. ChatGPT gave me the answer. Queen. So king minus man, when you put it on a ChatGPT, it tells you queen. I don't know how he got the answer. So as anyone will probably have done it before, you just ask ChatGPT, how did you come up with this answer? And then ChatGPT will explain it to you. I also emphasize, please give me a simple explanation. So the large language models tells me that based on a large amount of data he has, and based on previous writing, previous maybe forums or whatever information it's out there, the system learned that king minus man is probably queen. So when we get the same answer and we put it on a slightly older version of ChatGPT, which is 3.5, we get a different answer. So for the answer when I put it on 3.5, king minus man was ing. I really didn't know why or how it gave this answer, but when you ask and you read the explanation, it kind of makes sense. So it's kind of a puzzle word. It plays with the word. It took what's between the differences in the letters, and then it gives you the ing as the answer. So technically this is not a wrong answer, but this is not the answer that you probably will guess, or will probably that makes more sense to us. So this is what LLM does. LLM guess the next word. It guesses the next words based on the large amount of data that the large language model has. So what does it mean? So it means that a large language model, or for example, ChatGPT, have all the internet in its hand. It knows everything that has been published, books, websites, anything that is publicly available, it probably knows about it. And who knows what else they have access to. So based on that large amount of data, there are so many machines that has been training and learning over the years to start guessing the next word. So that's basically what LLM is, what generative AI is. It does not think, it does not know, it does not have sentiment, it just guesses. But because they know so much, they usually guess right, and they guess the right answer. Usually, not always. All right, so before we move forward, you already heard me talking about ChatGPT and things like that. So we want to talk a little bit about terminology, so we are all on the same page. So OpenAI is a company. Okay, OpenAI is the creator of ChatGPT. So OpenAI is a company. ChatGPT is their product. So OpenAI created ChatGPT, which is an online chatbot that users can interact with and get answers to their questions. GPT-4, for example, or GPT 3.5, it's a model. So it's a model. Basically, OpenAI created this model and then made it available to themselves to use in their product, which is ChatGPT. But this model is also available to others to use it. And we will talk more about that. So many of the companies that are using and leveraging the power of generative AI, they are using models from other companies that they created. In this case, they may be using GPT-4 model. They are not using ChatGPT because ChatGPT is a product, but they are using the underlying brain that runs ChatGPT, which is the GPT models. And those GPT models, every time there is a new one. Right now, the latest one is GPT-4o. So, and the difference between GPT-4 and GPT-4o is it's the last one. The latest one is a multi-model model. Multi-model means that it's not just text. Usually what we are used to right now is you interact with the chatbot using your keyboard. You ask questions, you type questions, and you get text answers back to you. Right now, this model allows you to speak to the model and allows the model to speak back to you. It can generate pictures. You can upload a picture and the model will learn what's in the picture, read the picture, and explain to you what's in the pictures and things like that. So that's what it means, multi-model. So this is I wanted to do this because it's really helpful, because we often hear like mixed terms and terminologies, and it's really confusing. But in reality, like GPTs became so popular, ChatGPT became so popular, became like Google, like a word that people use without necessarily meaning the product itself. All right. In this table, we will see that there are other models. GPT is not the only player. OpenAI is not the only player. OpenAI is maybe the most famous one, maybe the most successful one, because their model is really good. It gives really the right answers most of the time. It has been used a lot. They created this awesome user interface that we are using without even thinking about how it works or anything. So I think that's the power why OpenAI is kind of the leader in this field. So let's go through each one of them and we'll talk about some examples. For example, like I said, GPT-4, it's a model, it's a large language model, LLM, that is developed by OpenAI, the company. It is used by other providers. Like I told you earlier, Microsoft, for example, Copilot, it's based on the GPT model, not ChatGPT, but the brain, the GPT model. Zapier, for example, Dropbox, and of course, ChatGPT, they use a GPT model. So every model you will see here, you will see a knowledge cutoff date. So what does this date means? The date means, so we are talking about large language models that has been trained on a large amount of information. You probably have heard that there is a shortage on processors and computers to run the calculations, to do the training. So those processors, you need thousands and thousands of processors to train a model as big as GPT-4, for example. So that training takes place over maybe 6 months or a year. And then once they reach a limit where someone will say, okay, this model is good enough to be released, they stop the training. So that's the cutoff date. That means anything that happened after that date, the model technically does not know what happened. And we're talking, for example, about news or events or things like that. This is different now, because now there are ways where even if a model is does not know about recent event, the system can search recent event and bring it to the model so they can interact with. So this knowledge date, cutoff date, it's still valid, but I will not put too much stress on it. So who are the other providers? Well, the biggest one are Google, for example. Google, they have Gemini. Gemini 1 is their large language model, similar to GPT-4. So Google have a chatbot, a user interface that is similar to ChatGPT. Originally, it was called Bard, but now they rebranded to be called Gemini as well. Google model is not being used by many providers, at least not to my knowledge, but Google is using their large language models to streamline their own processes and to improve their own processes. So you can already see that in their search engines right now. You can see that in Google Docs and Google Sheets, and you can see that in Gmail. So they have been using it a lot. They have a paid version as well. The paid version is cutoff date is recent, and the same way for GPT-4. The paid version April 2023. The free version is September 2021. The same for Google. The other player here is Meta. Meta is Facebook company. They have Llama 3. The difference between Meta and all the other providers is that Meta is an open source model. And pay attention to this open source, because we will talk about it later. What does it mean? Meta created this really good large language model that is as good as GPT-4, and they are releasing it for free. They are using it for their own services. Right now, if you go to a post in your Facebook, you can interact with it using AI, for example, and they are using it for translation. They are using it for so many ways, and they are providing the large language model for free. So anyone who is interested in building a tool with large language model, they can connect. They can use the large Llama 3 for free, which is really interesting. So this will create a new dynamic that in the future it will be hard to justify why you will pay for the large language models. You may need to pay for what services are added to that large language model, but the model itself, at some point, they may all look the same. They will all be the same, because at the end of the day, they are all trained on the data. If that data is public, well, everybody has access to it. So what's going to make the difference is the data. Facebook has a lot of data. Facebook has 2 billion users in their Instagram, in WhatsApp, in Facebook, and all their services. They know a lot of information. Who else has information? Google. Google has YouTube, and they have search engine. They have a lot of data. So what's going to make a difference in the future? It's not the language model itself, but the data that is trained on, and probably the cost. If I have to pick, I will pick the free one, of course. So what other large language models? There is one called Claude. Claude is developed by Anthropic, and it is really good. It is used in Slack. It is used in Notion. It is used in Zoom to do the closed captioning. All right. The final one is Grok. Grok is by XAI. I will give you a second to guess what is XAI. Okay. XAI is Twitter. So Elon Musk, this is a company that is Elon Musk has started. So here is a funny thing. Do you remember last year when Elon and some tech founders and personalities, they wrote this letter saying that they ask all the companies working on AI to pause the development until we figure out the ethical use of it and we make it safe? Well, I think that was just a trick so that Elon and other providers can catch up to OpenAI. In the end of the day, a few months after, XAI released their own large language model. So I'm pretty sure while they were writing that letter, they were busy developing a competitor to ChatGPT and the GPT-4 model. So this gives you like a idea of what large language models are out there. There are many models available, and the future we will probably see more. But like I said, the difference will not be in the large language model itself. The difference will be on what data is trained on and what that model can do. That's what's going to make the difference. That's what users will probably be paying for. All right, so let's move forward. And now we can talk about some use cases for AI. Of course, as attorneys, maybe the first use case you will guess is AI for legal research. And of course, I'm pretty sure you know about some crazy things that happened in the last few months and few years where attorneys have used ChatGPT and they got in trouble. As a technology person, I always say it's user error. So for me, those are all user errors. So those people who got in trouble for using ChatGPT, they probably would have been in trouble anyways because they did not use technology in the way that is supposed to be used. As attorneys in legal, in our ethics, you have to be abreast of technology. You have to know the law, and you have to also know the technology and how it is used. Ignorance is not an excuse anymore. If you didn't know that GPT can hallucinate, if you did not check your answers before filing, well, it's on you. It's not on the technology. I'm sorry, but this is how technology works. You always have to double check. You always have to look what you are doing. And most importantly, you have to learn how to use those tools. You can't just rely on any technology 100% blindly without doing your backup. All right. So who else got in trouble? Well, pro se litigants also got in trouble. So here in Missouri, in the Eastern District, there is a case where a pro se litigant used artificial intelligence to file an appeal, and he got in trouble because he has so many cases that are fictitious. 22 cited cases, 17 of them completely fake. 5 had the same name. So he got in so much trouble that he got fined, and his appeal was rejected. But the sad things for me is that immediately after, I think, or around the same time, well, now the court says pro se litigants could not use any generative AI. I personally think this is crazy. I mean, this is like, I don't think any courts have done any restriction for pro se litigant as it's done in the Eastern District of Missouri. So I'm curious to know why they made the decision, how it is going to be enforced, and what do they mean with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is everywhere. It's going to be everywhere more and more. It will be integrated into Microsoft Word. It's already integrated into autocorrect, in Grammarly, in so many ways. If you have an iPhone, it will soon have generative AI. So just trying to put this, you can't use it, it's not going to work. This is going to cause so many issues, especially for pro se litigants, because AI, it's an opportunity to improve access to justice. AI is an opportunity for pro se litigants to do a lot on their own and do it in the right way, not in the bad way. Again, some bad things happen. Guess what? Attorneys also hallucinate. So everybody can do mistakes. It's not because of one case that we should ban everyone. This is my personal opinion. So let's move forward. Of course, we talked about bad cases, but there are also good stories about attorneys using AI to improve their services, to customer service, and so many things. So in the same way as you may hear bad stories, there's also good stories about use cases. And this is really the goal of this presentation. That's really what I want you to take away with you. Generative AI is new. As our nature, we tend to be a little bit nervous. As attorneys, it's even more because we have responsibilities to the clients, we have responsibilities to the court and the justice system. It is understandable that we should be very careful on using new technologies, but does not mean that we should just deny those technologies and refuse to use them. It's not the this is the future, and you either going to be on board, or at some point it's going to be hard for you to catch up. Give you one example. A few years ago, we were all talking about the cloud. Should I put my files on the cloud? Should I use the cloud? Guess what? When we had COVID-19, everybody was on the cloud. Those who were not on the cloud had to catch up and know how to use Zoom, know how to use Dropbox, know how to use online storage, because without that, they couldn't do their work. So AI is kind of the same thing. So let's learn how AI it's working, and let's learn how we can use it to our benefit, and also let's learn what are the challenges with AI. So one of the biggest challenges with AI is security. It is our duties to protect our clients' information. So we have a duty of confidentiality. We have to make reasonable effort to make sure that our clients' files are saved, their information is saved, and you can't just put it anywhere you like. This is for me, as I teach basic legal tech, this is the basics. You should know this by now. Has nothing to do with AI. This is how you should handle your client information. So in AI, how does it apply? So the first thing is you have to read the terms of services. Okay? Terms of services explain to you a lot of things. So we have a snippet of OpenAI terms of service. So the first thing they say, you retain ownership of all your input and all your output. What does it mean? If your own product, when you put them on ChatGPT, those are yours. And then whatever text, for example, you get out of ChatGPT, that's also yours. So that's the output. What's the other thing they say? They say that they may use your content to maintain and improve their services. They don't really necessarily say they will use it. They may use it. This is generic thing that you can see in many software, that they see, well, we can use your content, we can use your sessions and things to improve our services. So it's out there. They also say that there is an option to opt out. If you do not want your content to be used to improve OpenAI services, there is an option to opt out. But as you may guess, opt out is not available in the free version. Okay, so if something is free, you have to think twice. I don't think you should use anything that is free, because if something is free, you or your client are probably the product. So we have to be very careful about that. You can always pay for service, and you get a little bit better access, better security handling, and you do your due diligence. What else is out there? Well, how about enterprise versions? So this is terms of service for Microsoft Azure environment. If you remember the table at the beginning, we said Microsoft used ChatGPT. Well, Microsoft owned 49% or so of OpenAI. So they do have the GPT model. They don't really need OpenAI to access GPT model. If you remember when the CEO of OpenAI had those boardroom drama a few months ago, and he resigned, people were nervous because saying, well, is OpenAI going to close? And then Microsoft quickly released a statement saying that although there is a problem, we have the GPT model. We don't really need OpenAI. We can still function. And this is really what's there here in the terms of services. In addition to that, if you are in an enterprise level, which is of course going to be expensive, they give you your own server. They give you your own version that is not connected to OpenAI, not connected to Microsoft, where your data is completely secured. Many law firms use Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft 365 services as an enterprise level. This is exactly the same license. So you can be certain that your data is protected in the same way it is protected now for saving your files, for managing your servers, and managing your emails. So you need to know those differences, because that's how you know if a product is secure or it is not secure. Read the terms of service. So here is one thing here that we need to talk about. So you probably get hit by a lot of emails of companies trying to sell you on some new tool that use generative AI and how it could transform your work and all of that. And they probably tell you that they have their own large language models. You have to be careful about that language, because most of the time it's not really true. So let me give you one example. GPT 3.5, it cost OpenAI $90 million to train, and the GPT-4, it cost them $500 million to train. So not many companies can afford that. That's why we only see Google, Meta, and OpenAI in this field. What those companies are doing, they are using other tools. They are using fine-tuning. They are using API integration. They are using prompt engineering and RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Those are some big words in the material. You can see more explanation, and on the next slide we will talk about those examples as well. But for example, those companies here, CoCounsel, Lexis Plus AI, they don't have their large language models. They have the data, which is very valuable, and then they use large language model to retrieve the information to the users. And we will talk again more on details about it. But I wanted you to know that when a vendor comes and say we created our own large language models, maybe you should ask them how, because that gives you an idea of what your information is, where your information is going to go. And again, this is one of the terms of services that you have to pay attention to. So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering, it's really it's very simple. It's basically the queries. The queries that it's the language that you talk to a large language model. Large language model, you type something. Knowing what to type and how to type it is very important, because it makes a huge difference on the answers that you get. So the basic idea is you always have to give instructions. You always have to tell the LLM how do you want the LLM to interact? What field are you working in? So they can kind of fine-tune their answers to fit what you need. You need to ask your question. The less complex is always better, and be straightforward. There is no need to say please and thank you, because it's not a human. It's just a machine. Just go straight to the topic. The other thing that you can do is you can add data. For example, you can upload an Excel sheet, and you can ask the large language model to give you a summary or to give you trends, things like that. So that's type of the data you can add. You can also add a bunch of text, and you ask the LLM to summarize the text or translate the text and things like that. The fourth thing that you can do is examples. For example, you are writing a letter and you already have your format. So you can upload your format as an example, and you just give the AI the new data, and you will put the data on based on the templates or the format that you provided as example. So this is in summary what prompt engineering is. Another way how you can improve large language models, it's basically by using RAG. RAG means retrieval augmented generation. Typically when you are using LLM, you ask a question, then the LLM will give you an answer. Very straightforward. If you are using a RAG system, then we add something different. What we add is that we have our own information, our own knowledge base, and then we take the answer from our knowledge base, not from the web. And then we send it to the LLM so it can give us a human-like answer. So in this case, the LLM is not used to give the answer, because we have the answer in our own database, but we are using LLM because it has this human-like way of talking and speaking to us, synthesizing, translating the information, and we use that for our interaction. So by now, we should all know the basics of generative AI. You are confident about what you can do with generative AI, how you can improve your services and improve your work, and what else you can do with generative AI. I'm personally interested in the intersection of law and technology in general. I think artificial intelligence, it's going to be a good opportunity to bridge the gap in access to justice. As you all know, not everyone have access to representation. 90% of Americans don't have access to representation. Those who can afford lawyers, they only few of them. Those who don't have the means, they may be have access to legal aid services, but the majority of Americans can't afford legal services, and there are no representation for them. They ended up handling their services on their own and dealing with court and court processes on their own. I build tools for technology to improve access to justice. Every time I start a new project, I do a survey, try to understand what are the issues. In every survey I do on pro se litigants and self-help litigants, there are always three issues that comes up. Self-help litigants need information, they need forms, and they need some assurances about what they are doing, that it's not going to be wasting their time and they're going to get the relief that they need. For me, this is a huge opportunity for AI, where AI could be used to provide access to legal information easily. So in the last 2 years, I was involved with the state of Nevada in building, among many things, an AI-powered chatbot. So I started working with Nevada 2 years ago to build an interactive self-help portal. This portal includes guided interview, it includes process explainers for several areas of the law. It also included a guided interview to generate court-ready forms where people can go ahead and find in many areas of the law, such as divorce, name change, service, and things like that, custody and others. And one of the tools that we started working on was a chatbot. So when we started working on chatbot, that was before OpenAI became so known with their ChatGPT model. So just quick background about chatbots, which you probably are familiar with. Most of the chatbots that we have access now, they are called rule-based chatbots. Those are chatbots that you, as the manager of the system, needs to think about the questions and pre-program the system so that the user can get those answers that you already put in the system. There are some AI-powered chatbots where users can type the question, free text format, can type the questions, and the system can guess what the question is and hopefully find the answers and provide an answers from a database that it already has pre-formatted answers. The difference now is with generative AI. Generative AI, you don't need to pre-create questions and answers. The LLM can generate the answers based on what data you have available. So this is what we are working on, and we did for the state of Nevada. So this is an example of a decision-based chatbot. So you have the typical welcome message, and then you have a list of areas that the organization can help you with. You pick the areas that probably are popular, that a lot of people are asking for help on those specific areas. And then once you pick the area, you may present them with popular questions, for example. We know, for example, people are asking for attorneys and or cost or service process or things like that. So you put those answer that, and you hope that they will pick one of those questions. And then if they pick one of those questions, you give them the answer that you already put in your system. So the topics are already in the system, the questions are in the system, and the answers are also in the system. So what happened when someone type in the question? Most of the time, those chatbots are not really good at that, because it's really hard to understand what someone means, what lingo they may be using, or maybe completely different language that the system is not programmed to handle. Remember, with those decision-based chatbots, you have to guess and you have to anticipate what your users want so that you can pre-program the system with those answers. So this is where generative AI could help. In a generative AI powered chatbot, the answers is completely different. The answers, it's every time someone asks a question, you get a different answer. It's not pre-programmed, but the answer comes from your own database. And the way we did that is by using RAG, as I explained before, retrieval augmented generation. So to make sure that the systems give the answers that we want and not something general from the web. So the system is currently live. You can access it on the selfhelp.nvcourts.gov website. This is the statewide self-help portal in Nevada. There is an icon for chatbot. You can click there and you can see the screen over there. There is also a QR code. Feel free to try the system. There is a feedback mechanism over there. Feel free to share your feedback if you see something missing, or if you like it and thumbs up. That's also helpful. So I'm gonna, in the next slide, I'm gonna explain how I built this chatbot using retrieval augmented generation. So again, we have the question. In our example, the question is, my neighbor flipped on me because I had my tunes blasting. Dude went off, wrecked my ride, and even said he would come after me next. I'm shook, man. What's my next move here? So this is a regular expression answer that a typical chatbot might not understand because it has so many lingos and it has so many things in it. So we take this answer and then we search on our knowledge base. We are not searching the web. We are not touching the LLM yet. We are still searching our own database. So we use a semantic search that does not rely on keywords. It relies on the meaning of the sentences. And from there, we take the answers that we think are appropriate for this question. So we know it's a protection order, but we know it's not a DV because those are neighbors and they are not related, at least from the text that we have. So we are more likely looking at stalking, and then we see some threatening languages, so there may be some harassment there, and the person is asking for next steps, so we should provide them with a link to a guided interview so they can file for protection order. At the same time, we want to understand more about the situation. So those are answers from our knowledge base. So the next step, which is the system message or the prompt. So a large language model, as we explained earlier in the prompt engineering slide, you have to tell the system how to behave. So we told the system you are an AI assistant helping people in Nevada. You are not helping them in California or Texas. You are helping them in Nevada. So we want to make sure that we stay our jurisdiction. We also tell the system to always provide additional resources when they are available. Additional resources could be links to guided interview, websites, or phone number, court address, things like that. The other thing that, among many things that we have in the system prompt, is if you detect from the language that there is a danger, you probably should tell people to call 911 first. So the next step is we take the question, we take the answers from our knowledge base, and we take the system prompt to tell the LLM how to behave, and we send everything to the LLM. At this point, the LLM does not need to search the web. It does not go to the internet and search what is going on. We told the LLM everything they need to know. And the only task that the LLM will do is to generate the answer in a human-like way, with empathy, with link to resources, with link to guide interviews, and everything that we tell the LLM to do. And this is what the answer that you get. It's very human-like. It has empathy. It's provide explanation of what's going on. It also provide them with link to the guided interview. And in the end, you can see, please remember, if you feel immediately threatened or in danger, to call 911. And then the last thing is citations. We added that so that people feel confident that this information is not coming from nowhere. We have PDFs that include our own knowledge base that you can use. So this is one example of how you can use generative AI to create a chatbot. In this example, the chatbot's goal is to help self-help litigants in Nevada, but the system is the same and could be applied to anything. For example, if you have a law firm, you can create your own chatbot to deal with your own documentation, with all your own processes or templates that your interns or associates and clerks can use to get the information quickly. This is completely different than how we used to handle information, and I think many improvements will come next. So this is a chatbot that runs on GPT-4. We are hosted on Microsoft Azure in an enterprise level. It's very secure. It's owned and managed by the state of Nevada, and we provide the support for them. One quick example that would like to share with you is generating text. LLM, it's good for generating text, and this is not an actual project. This is just an example of how we could use it. So in protection order, we know that one of the hardest things for pro se litigants is to describe what happened. As our nature and human, we like to tell stories, and sometimes we want to tell our entire life story. Unfortunately, for a judge dealing with protection order, all they need to know is what happened that brought you here. So that's a very difficult task for pro se litigants who are often in huge stress and trauma situation, and they deal with they are in their worst cases, basically. So in this example, we have a guided interview. This guided interview is between Gru and Stewart from the Minions. They are fighting, and Gru is filing a protection order against Stewart. So we ask typical questions that we'll ask in any guided interviews running protection order. We ask personal information. We ask the county. We ask all the information we need. The next thing that we think is we ask what happened, what is the first incident. So there is a narrative there where you can see that Gru is explaining what happened in bilingual, in French and English, and then we ask some follow-up questions. We also ask about danger. Is Stewart has a gun? Has he been in trouble? So we ask a bunch of information. The back end of this guided interview has a prompt. So we are using the answers to create a prompt, similar to what we did in the chatbot. In this example, we tell the system that you are an advocate assisting victims with protection order. We want to generate a description that is plain English in the first person in English. If there is any non-English language, make sure to translate the language, but also keep the original language so the judge can read the original language if they want to. And then we add the fact based on the fields that we have in the interview. So we add the county, we add the plaintiff, and we add what happened. We also added some conditions. For example, if there is violence, then we add the information about violence. If there is no violence, that we skip that altogether. And then using the answers from the guided interview, we come up with this narrative. So this is narrative in first person in English, describing what happened and translating the words from French to English, and then putting the original French language at the bottom of the narrative. Users can edit this, can change it, and then they can end it. So again, this is a second example I want to share with you, but there are many use cases. The goal for me for this presentation is to encourage you to explore what else you can do with large language models. How can you use it? So the first thing you probably need to think about is create an AI policy. If you are the manager in the law firm, your associate will be thankful if you have a policy to guide them what to do, what not to do with generative AI. Keep an innovation mind on this. This is here. AI is here to stay. So this is the opportunity to learn, because we are all learning. This is all new for all of us, and things are changing rapidly. So it's still time to join and learn about generative AI. My suggestion to you is to pick a use case, pick some issues that you have in your processes, or the way that you process your files, or you store your files, or handle client intake, and then create a use case and try it. Experiment and see what works, what doesn't work, and what else could be improved. And the other thing is collaborate with other attorneys, collaborate with law schools. UMKC Law School is always open for collaboration. So for that, we have the Legal Technology Lab. So the Legal Technology Lab is a consortium of a group of more than 12 law schools that UMKC has been leading since 2017. We gather attorneys, law professors, technologists, and community members, and to tackle projects in the intersection of law and technology. If you visit the website, thelegaltechlab.com, you can see some of the projects. Some of them went nowhere and others are thriving. So this is an example of what collaboration could be, and you are invited to join us. We have a listserv of more than 200 individuals. We share news, we share opportunities for collaboration. If you have ideas and you would like for us to look at them, or maybe have students work and collaborate with you, that's also an opportunity, because we teach classes where we bring students and attorneys and community member into a classroom, and then we have them collaborate in projects that are multidisciplinary. So this is an opportunity for you as well to come collaborate, or just come and learn and ask us questions. That's really the goal of why we do these sessions, why we participate on this project. I'm lucky to have other opportunities outside of the law school where I can learn more and practice things that I probably will not be able to do in a classroom. And the last thing is, the LTL is part of the CLEI, the Center for Law, Entrepreneurship, and Innovation. UMKC Law School has been involved in technology for more than 10 years, and right now we have a center that is an umbrella of everything that we do, and we in terms of teaching, in terms of collaboration, and in terms of creating projects and creating tools to help with access to justice, entrepreneurship, and other areas to improve our communities, and also to prepare students for the future of legal services. I personally believe legal services, there are so many opportunities in it right now, especially in the intersection of law and technology. So I hope that you have learned something new today. Again, if you have any questions, email me. Join me in LinkedIn. I'm always active in LinkedIn. I would love to stay in touch with you, and we keep in touch and keep sharing ideas. So good luck, and talk to you soon.